Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. Today, guys, we're going to be jumping down into the world of Bitcoin, taking a look at what's been going on most recently, what we think is likely to happen next, and all that wonderful stuff. We've got a few things to kind of talk about. We've got things such as the monthly close position. We've got the hourly chart and what's been going on there. We've got a little bit on smart money concepts and some interesting stuff with the Bitcoin whales. As I get into this video, if you find it useful and informative, smash that like button. I do appreciate that. If you're new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all the notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. And if you haven't yet joined us in Discord, check it out, linked in the description down below. Let's start things off with this monthly close position. So probably the easiest one to kind of explain and talk about. We can see here that we closed below our area where we would normally expect kind of supply to kind of enter the system and to kind of drag prices down. This is basically between 23,328 and 25,263. You can kind of see it represented here in this yellow box. This is an area that we were rejected from in July 2022, rejected in August of 2022. We came up here and got rejected on the 1st of January, so basically January 2023. Over in February, we closed below this level. Okay, so we're constantly getting smacked down out of this area. Today, obviously, we've rallied back up into the range, but essentially we remain bearish because we're closing below our area of supply. Basically, there's ample supply here, dragging the price of BTC to the downside, and it is not allowed to pass. Gandalf and all that kind of stuff. So nonetheless, you can see the weekly close position is right here. We haven't yet kind of closed inside or above to kind of give us that monthly kind of bullish sentiment. You can see that the stochastic RSI has started to tilt to the upside. This, with moves to the upside, isn't unexpected. It's something that we would kind of expect to see, but it does mean that potentially this is going to have to come back down quite big, and it could basically end up with us in a slightly longer term bearish situation. Now it's kind of tilted up a little bit. We probably have to come back down at some point. So it'll be interesting to kind of see how that kind of plays out. It can, obviously, a monthly chart like this take a very long time to play out. So it's not something that we'd expect to see, instantaneously or anything like that. So that's kind of the monthly position, closing down here. As you can kind of see, that there isn't too much more to kind of note on this monthly chart. I would say, of course, though, that there is this upper area of interest. That's right in here, and you can kind of see that this area is going to be the one that's going to really be interesting to kind of see, right? It was support, we've pushed through it, we've never come back and retested it. This is basically 28,805 to 34,997. Rejection from here would also be highly probable. If we were to push up into there, the expectation would be that you'd pull back down, and again, that could be a part of a bigger reset, such as an A, B, and then C, and so forth. Really hard to say, but one of those things that we should be aware of nonetheless. Okay, cool. So let's jump down. Let's jump over into our data here for whales. We can see significant pull to the downside on the number of wallets that hold over 1,000 BTC. This has now decreased quite a bit into new bear market lows. Okay, there are now only 2,006 wallets that have over 1,000 BTC in them. This is significantly lower than was in November. It's significantly lower than it was in June of 2022. So let's go ahead and take a look at what the whale wallets are looking like over a 365-day period. Here you can kind of see continued selling pressure emerges here from the institutional level wallets. We can see that they were, as the bottom was being called by many Moonboy influencers across various different social media platforms, there were 2,198 wallets when that bottom was in. Now, of course, we can take a look at the November lows after that Black Swan event that no one knew was coming. Yes, that was sarcasm. We can see that there were 2,103 wallets that had over 1,000 Bitcoin in them. And as prices moved up, well, that's exit liquidity, and we are now rocking 2,006 wallets. There is a very clear defined trend to the downside on the institutional level wallet. Essentially here, we can quite clearly see that as Bitcoin's price is kind of, volatile, liquidity is being grabbed and exited positions are exited from these size wallets. So that means who's buying if these guys are selling? Well, that's an easy one. It is, of course, your retail investor. Your retail investor is buying the Bitcoin up from the institutional level investor. So yeah, just kind of read into that as you will. I'm not here to kind of tell you what to do. I'm not a financial advisor. I cannot give you financial advice, but I can tell you something in my humble opinion. It does not make sense for Bitcoin to go to the moon and for Bitcoin to be having a bottom in a bear market if the big money is selling into new lower lows. Okay, we can kind of see here that this low from November, they were selling into it. And the lows from June, they were selling, right? They've been selling this entire time, and they've been selling it directly to the retail investors. So yeah, the only ones holding the bags are the retailers. Just can kind of draw your own conclusions there as what you think is going to happen. But you can kind of see even the sharks have started to dip down a little bit. Obviously, they bought up massively before this surge to the upside. They're now coming out of their positions. The Kraken's doing what the Kraken does best, accumulate for the bear market, only to flood the system later. This is what happened in 2018, accumulated and then dropped it all. This is where we are at the moment in 2023. Over the last 365 days, they've been accumulating. So nothing unusual from the Kraken-sized wallet, but I would say things are about to heat up. It doesn't look overly great for Bitcoin on the kind of wallet count side of things. So we should probably start talking a little bit about what's been going on most recently when it comes to BTC. So let's go ahead and actually jump down into the charts here. Okay, so we're going to start things off with this one here, bit of Elliott wave theory. If you're not familiar, then you can check out 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗔𝗥𝗘, linked in the description down below. We've got a course not only on Elliott wave theory, but also a whole host of other things such as smart money concepts, portfolio building and risk management and all that kind of stuff. So let's talk about where we were yesterday. So yesterday we were talking about a move upwards to become a move downwards, and then essentially another move to the upside. I think I titled it up, then down, then up again. Okay, and essentially that's kind of what played out. We didn't quite hit the targets though. Okay, these targets were a little bit higher initially. So let me go ahead and show you where we were thinking. So as we can kind of see, we have the dash line. Let me go clear out some of this noise. Okay, so we can see these candles a little bit easier. And let's see, do I need this one? Yeah, I probably do. We'll get rid of it anyway. Okay. So this is kind of where we were, okay, yesterday. And basically we were around here, okay? So when I put the video out, or recorded it here, I think the video went out around here. Okay, so we were looking for a high to come up towards this dash line at 23,679. We were then looking to come down lower than the lower low over this side, or this low over this side, to grab the liquidity and basically wipe out those longs before, of course, we went up. Okay, and the expectation is to go up quite a bit further than where we are right now. As you can kind of see, we missed the higher target at 23,679, and we also missed the lower target at 22,894. But they do meet their minimum requirements. Okay, so our minimum requirement is basically a double top, and that's kind of where you see this. You can kind of draw in a little bit of a yellow box right here. You can kind of see that you got here, this was a little bit higher than A, minimum requirement has been met, and this is also an area of supply, so you were to come on down. You can also argue that we had to just come down lower than our origin level here to kind of finish off this structure to the downside, 1, 2, and then 3. That's also been met. Minimum expectation would have been over here at 23,111, and of course we came down to the low of 23,020. So again, minimum expectations met, but not quite the full target. So we'll go ahead and remove those now that they've been played out. Obviously now we're talking about this move to the upside. This is looking impulsive, which is good, because that is kind of one of the things that we want to be kind of looking for. Now what's not overly clear here at this point in time is whether or not this is going to be the run that we want it to be to the upside, or whether or not we end up moving to the downside. There's two kind of ways I'm looking at this market. One is up to new local highs, breaching the 25,250, and the other one is basically us just correcting down quite a bit further. So for the most part, it's probably that we do have to move to the downside quite a bit. As you can kind of see, we're heavily overbought, and so expectation will be that we will move to the downside. You can also see this on the whale wallets when they're coming out of their positions. It's not for just because they feel like it, is because essentially it makes sense to grab the liquidity where it is, and they'll be looking to accumulate much cheaper in price. So when we take a look at this, we can kind of see, okay, well, what is the expectation? Where is the kind of minimum expectation? Since that seems to be the most common at the moment. I'm going to go ahead and draw that on there. That's going to be 23,897. The structure would be here, here, and then here, like so. But the actual target that we would be kind of expecting to see, although it's the most common areas that we'll be looking for, would be up here. I'm going to put a little yellow box on this one. It's going to be basically 24,215 to this little higher range at 24,505. Okay, so that's going to be the range that we would kind of expect it to go to. And of course, looking at the structure of this, it's possible that it does turn into some kind of 5-wave structure, right? Which will be great, but I just don't see that's happening here. It needed to happen from the bottom. So the concern here is actually all of this is just going to be a corrective structure and a move to the downside before we actually start to get that 5-wave structure. So expect some volatility here when it comes to BTC. Now, when I take a look at it from a smart money concepts point of view, what do we see? Well, we've got some interesting kind of things. Our bearish change of characteristic move to the downside is still valid, and so don't expect that to get broken anytime soon, but we'll see how that kind of goes. We can see that we have the fair value gaps. Now, there were fair value gaps yesterday that we're talking about. They got filled. Let me show you what they were looking like. Let me find yesterday at about 8 a.m. Right here. Okay, so we can see that we're moving down. The expectation was to move up, grab that fair value gap, that red one just here. Okay, get that out of play, and then kind of move down and then move up again. So my expectation was that we were going to go and do something like this. We're going to move up, grab that area there, then we were going to move down a little bit lower into one of these order blocks, and then we were going to basically, rally up from there. Okay, that's kind of the expectation. Now, where we actually end up, let me just get rid of that, is here. Okay, yes, we grabbed that fair value gap. We left that imbalance, so we got the imbalance, but it happened later. We didn't hit the higher target, and we didn't even come into this discounted range or the big order block at the bottom here. There are overlapping order blocks in this low range, so lots of liquidity right down in here, so expect price to kind of want to gravitate down towards that. Now, essentially, this does look like a positive move, like it could be a 5-wave structure. And that would be interesting because we can, of course, illustrate this in a couple of different ways. I think the first thing that we need to expect here is that this area is going to get filled, this gap that was left behind. 23,499 through to 23,632. The expectation is probably that we're going to come down and grab that area before we think about moving back to the upside. You can see that we are up in our area of selling. Okay, this red order block here, we can see that equilibrium's a little bit higher, so again, expect rejection around there. But for the most part, it looks like we are either going to be in a 335, or we're going to have to kind of move up in a much bigger kind of 335 structure. I can't see this as a trend-based leading diagonal or anything like that. It doesn't look like that. So for the most part, I think we are just corrective at the moment. So we'll see how it kind of plays out, but we are heavily overbought. So expectations are that we will be kind of moving to the downside gradually over time here for BTC. There is, of course, this fair value gap that was left up here. We could take quite a while to go fill that. So that could happen much further down the line if it needed to. It doesn't have to go up higher. But again, one of the possibilities is to go up higher than 25,250, although I'm losing faith in that kind of one playing out gradually over time. So the longer that time plays out, I think less and less likely it is that we're going to be moving up there anytime soon. But we'll see how that kind of plays out. But it's interesting to see that the whales continue to sell, retail continue to buy, and I don't think that's sustainable. I think that's going to essentially end up reversing, where the retail's investors start selling their Bitcoin to the whale investors, and it's at that point there when I think we'll be finally close to the bottom of a bear market. I'm going to leave the video right there though, guys. If you found it useful and informative, smash that like button. Do appreciate that. If you're new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all the notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. Until the next one though, guys, have a fantastic day.